Hello everyone and welcome to Python. This is the Python JDE tutorial file. JDE stands for just deep enough. This is my way of getting just deep enough into a scripting language where I can basically fix somebody else's stuff. And that's what I'm getting at when I get the purpose there. Okay, downloads not needed for Ubuntu. VS Code will ask you if you want to install the Python extension. You do. Okay, here is the official site. Okay, you notice what looks like a couple of snakes. That was not the original reason for naming Python. Is named for Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Anyway, getting back to our program file. Okay, it was invented by Guido van Rossum, who's Dutch. He's not Italian. In the late 1980s, and released in 1991. Okay, and as I said, it was named after Monty Python's Flying Circus, not the snake, although, just by popular demand, that's what it's morphed to. Okay, the philosophy is there should be one and preferably only one obvious way to do it. That's from this reference. And it basically says, you have some ideas there about what they consider the right way to do Python. If you're straight to the cut to the chase kind of person, you probably like Python. If you like to have a many paths to getting your job done, you probably like Perl quite a bit. Okay, slide back over here. Yeah. Okay, there is an interpreter. Python does come with an interpreter, and here's how you start it. Okay, you notice the greater than symbols. Not nearly so easy to do with that with Perl because it doesn't really come with Perl naturally. And what happens there is if you put in a command file, which will do command just one will do, you can run it one at a time and you can see if it works. Okay, you have an IDE available for Python. Let's see if I can remember what it's called. Okay, and it's supposed to be coming up. Is it thinking about it? Yeah, there it is. That's your Python shell, and you can use that, and it's got a shell where you can run it, and you could also have edit and you can save in it. Kind of works almost like the PowerShell interface for those of you that are familiar with that. Okay, there are no directives like set strict on. You would not have that in Python because Python can be run in interpretive mode and you really don't have an easy way to run interpretive mode for Perl. I think what happened is originally we weren't supposed to, but somebody kept on bugging them until they did. Okay, you got a try except finally structure available. We're talking about error catching here. In Python, you catch it within the code, much as you would learn to do with Java. Okay, getting started. Comments, a single line. It's a hashtag. A single quote like here is multi-line, and I use that to put this as a comment so I can type it in more or less readable English without having to put a hashtag in front of everything. Okay, let's output to the console. Okay, and I'm running in interpreter mode. I remember to say Python 3. I say Python, and it fusses at me because it doesn't do Python anymore. We do Python 3. All right, copy. Okay, right click, it puts it right in there. You didn't see it do that, but this is a bash terminal. And it says hello world because it's a bash terminal to run on. Right now it's running the Python interpreter. Okay, and okay, this print if this is formatted, and here's my reference on what the little alphabet soup means in format and how you can get it to do just what you want it to do. It's actually supposed to be an improvement. Apparently it wasn't so easy to do things before then. Okay, say print what's your name. Okay. Let's see what happens here. My name equals input. Okay. Okay, and it did that assignment. Now notice here how we do a embed a variable, and you put brackets around it. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to do something deliberately wrong here. I'm going to say I'm tired of this. I want to exit. It says you got to type exit with parentheses. That tells it it's a command. That tells it it's something to execute. You run into something like that a little bit with racket, where racket, if you want to execute something, you put parentheses around it. Okay, we're back where we started. All right, talk about variables. And all variables are objects in Python. They all have a value, type, and ID. Now there's for primitive type. We call this primitive because they're not like primitive like they are in other languages where they don't have value, type, and ID. They just have value and type. Anyway, you can actually pull these up and you can um, you can explore things. And first of all, we'll move over to my handy dandy test.py. Put this in here. Those of you who recognize the reference to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, 42 is supposed to be the universal answer. The things you learned about scripting class. Okay, you might have seen things change. What I did was I saved it. Okay, if you look at here, print 42 as a number, and they'll say the answer equals, and here I don't have any parentheses, any quotation marks or anything, so it should print as a number. Here it prints what a value is, here it prints the type, and here it prints the ID. Now if that ID means anything to you, you're a better geek than I, because it doesn't, it's some way of referring to it. Now, since this is a number, I would expect it to add as a number, and it does. And we'll get that answer here. Then we'll get a line feed just to keep everything neat. All right, tally ho, here we go. And I'm using my up arrow because I know that I've called this before. Boom. Okay, 42 is a number. You have 42, which is the value. The class is integer. Surprise, surprise. This alphabet soup is its ID. This is what the computer has. It takes away it gives it a number, take away its name. Some of you will realize the song reference for that. And 84 is the sum when you add those two together. Okay, this is fun. Okay, now we have this thing called duck typing. Duck typing basically says if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Now, how does that do to computer science? Well, how that does with computer science is if it looks like a integer or a string, it will treat it as such. Now, look, up here, before I said 42 is an integer, and I just put 42 without anything around it. Here I put double quotes around it, so it's going to say it's a string 42. Now, it'll say 42 just like it normally does. It'll say that it's a string, and here it'll add together as a string. It'll concatenate it. Then I've got a couple of carriage returns just to keep everything neat. So, tally ho, here we go. Okay, and it did exactly what I did before because I did not save it. Control S. Control S with, okay, I got my little X mark there, meaning it's saved. Okay, and here we go. 42 is a string. It looks just like 42. The class is string. That means it's not what we think it is. And 42 is the answer when you add it together. Kind of like the old song in the year 3535. Okay, and what happens is duck typing is you don't declare it as the integer. You don't need to declare it as a string. You just use it, and Python's supposed to be smart enough to figure it out. Okay, now we'll talk about our booleans. These are always fun. Okay, I'm going to have it print true. This is the Boolean true, print type true, and false and false. Then I'll do some wrong answers just so you'll know to look for them. All right, I got the little dot there, so I need to hit Control S. Run my test. Okay, it says true and it's class Boolean as you expect, and false in class Boolean. Now, here's a common error for Windows guys like me because we're not very sensitive to cases. Notice I have a small t and a small f here. And I'll run that. And it tries to be helpful. It says print true. Don't forget to capitalize. Name true is not defined. Did you mean true with a capital T? And if you're like me, you're a Windows guy, you're not used to looking for capitalizations, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you're trying to get this going. You may miss that, and you're sitting there wondering, what in the world is going on? Okay, so, all right, we will now do some logical operations. We'll do ands and ors. And they work just the way you would expect them to. Okay, think for yourself. True and true should be. Okay, that was easy. That should be true and false. True and false should be whatever that you think that should be. True or true, should that turn out? Notice what happens here is true and true is going to return a Boolean that's either true or false. Then I have to convert that to a string because I got to concatenate it with a string. All right, so I'll save this. Okay, here we go. True and true came out to be true as you would expect. And it's converted it to a string and it tells you all about it there. And that's always kind of nice. And it converts it to a string because you got to add strings and strings. You can't add strings and booleans because that's adding apples and oranges, to use a really, really hackneyed example. All right, true and false. True and false can if it's true and false, then it's the overall it's false because at least one of them is false. True or true, it's going to be true. True or false should be true. And review your Boolean algebra if you're not following along with that. Okay, ternary operator. This is immediate F, and this is how you can shorten your code if you're lucky. Okay, and I'm just going to copy the whole thing. Okay, is fast as a Boolean is set to be true. Everybody likes to have a fast call. Now print, the car is now you have a ternary operator. Ferrari, if it is fast, else it's sedan. So here it should print out sedan. Now this is a regular if statement. This is the equivalent of what you're doing there. Notice here you can put it right in line. And here you got to break it out. You got to make sure you indent and all that good stuff because this is Python. And oh, by the way, Python does not have the little curly Q braces. You have to indent when you want to do something. Okay, so let's run this. Let's clear the screen. Okay, set is past is true. It says it's a Ferrari, and we did that basically in one line. We said is fast is false, and just true to the spirit of that. We got the same play. We got the same place. We just got there a little slower. And of course, since it said false, it says it's a sedan. Okay, can Ferraris be sedans? Perhaps, I don't know. I'm just using this as an example. Okay, truthiness and falsiness. This is fun. We'll go through this real quick. Okay, so since 0 is 0, it's considered false. This is supposed to come out to be true. This is supposed to also come out to be true. The truth is supposed to come out to true. This will be false, and we'll see what happens on this last one. Okay, save it. Okay, Boolean of 0, 0 as a Boolean is considered false because it's 0. 30 is considered true because it's non-zero. Negative 30 is negative, but since that is non-zero, it's considered true. The truth is considered true because it is not an empty string. An empty string is considered false. Now, the string pigs fly is considered true because whether or not pigs actually fly, it is a non-empty string. So, that is truthiness and falseness. Okay, now you have string manipulation. You have double quotes and single quotes. Here's your example here. This is from W3 schools. This is generally pretty easy to understand. I would recommend reviewing this. Okay, and it talks about multi-line strings. You notice they use the 3 double quotes. They use the Latin thing that everybody else uses. Okay, strings are arrays. And you can loop through a string because it's just and you got some nice little starter code here to do that. Okay, back to, okay, and embedding variables. That's a neat trick, and this is kind of a new way of doing it, but we'll show you how to do this really quick. Let's see. Let's see if I remember the syntax on this. Okay, Control S. He said his name was Fred. Okay, so embedding the string, now you can do it the old-fashioned method I used to do and really didn't like, and that is to stick it together with plus signs, or you can just put it in there and put brackets around it. Okay, and I've got an extra apostrophe here. I'll get rid of that, and it makes the compiler happy, and I'll save that. Okay, this brings the end of part 1. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's helpful. Talk to you later.